Hi, Professor Barati here. I'm an adjunct professor at Bay Path University. Been teaching for several years accounting and financial management classes. I've taught undergrad, graduate, as well as online and on-campus classes. I am looking forward to the hybrid program that's coming up, a combination of online and live campus teachings on Saturdays. And I find the program will definitely be beneficial. I look forward to using Knowledge Path. I believe what I particularly want to gain from Knowledge Path, especially in accounting and finance classes, is the amount of work needed. Doing 3 or 4 chapters a week with a lot of questions, a lot of quizzes, a lot of homework, case studies, learn smart, and study plans all in 1 week is very intense, especially in the accounting and financial classes. And what happens is many students will get bogged down. If they don't get off to an auspicious start the first 2 weeks, get ahead of the curve, they really start to fall back and struggle. And then what happens is many of them will just give up. They'll go from hopes of getting an A or B plus to C minuses and D's. And then they spend a lot of time sending emails to professors, figuring out how they can get extensions and keep the class open longer and so on. What Knowledge Path will help me as a professor is to figure out where students are struggling. And especially in accounting and finance, the difficult problems will give most of the students the same problem, the same difficulties. So I will be able to figure out where they're struggling, identify it as quick as I can through the use of videos, through the use of instruction. In the live class, if it's a hybrid or online, I can quickly address it 10-15 minutes when the class starts right away, go back and say to these students, a lot of students have struggled with this topic. I'm going to reinforce it the first 15 minutes of class. This is important because, again, keeping students moving along in a 6-week class, I think, is key. And when they start to fall behind and get anxiety over it, they really don't enjoy it. And it's just not a good experience for them. And I think not only do they need to learn, but they need to have a good experience with these classes and say they got something very positive out of it. So I'm hoping the Knowledge Path will facilitate me as a professor to identify the weak links and really address them head on, and also get students to help other students via discussions and so on. So that said, let's go to the first question. How will you create weekly videos that play to your strengths as an educator? What kind of content do you prioritize in these weekly videos? My videos are a lot more instructional because of the nature of accounting. So what I try to do, for example, is I'll take basically a financial or an accounting problem, such as the theory of constraints. Part E says, suppose a company would expand its labor capacity by 17,000 more hours. So instead of 35,500, we add another 17. So that's an example of a video I do, and I use the problems that the students are going to confront in the program, because it's algorithmic, so I don't mind taking the problem and helping students move along. I could tell that when I'm lecturing in class or through the grading as well, students are struggling with certain topics or certain problems. So I use my videos to facilitate that learning and as well as I also use them to entertain. Many times I will provide a video in a discussion such as this one. In our topic for the week, we were discussing about cost behavior and the relationships between cost and production. So what I try to facilitate in every discussion isn't just reciting text or the topic over and over again. What I try to do is facilitate basically critical thinking. So for example, here's a Tesla video on how the Tesla automobile is manufactured.
From a manufacturing standpoint, the way we assemble this car, the way we put it together, all of this is essentially very different from another car.
So from the video, I ask questions and get the students to really pay attention to what's going on in the video and how it relates to the topic, and that it also conveys that the value of what they're learning is actually valuable because it's done in the real world. It's real. They can relate to the Tesla product. Students tend to like companies like Tesla. I discovered that they're fans of Facebook, Google, all the popular technology companies today. So I will incorporate a lot of videos that are fast-paced, colorful, very action-oriented, and get students to apply the knowledge in a basically a real-world situation. Other videos will consist of actual financial data from real companies. Again, I'll use companies like Facebook and kind of go over their financial statements and show the students what real financial statements look like, not just the examples in the text, but what they look like in the real world. So we could look at a financial statement by Tesla, and we could look at income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements to help them facilitate the learning by using real numbers produced in annual reports and so on. What are your current ideas for using technologies to streamline your feedback and grading on student assignments? Some of my ideas is I like to use basically templates for each rubric, templates that are pre-done in advance where students are doing exemplary work, templates where students are doing master or improvement and that kind of thing, or emerging, and then I'll tailor it to the student. If a student does a really good job, I'll add more to the comments. So to move that along quickly, I do have some basically templates already made up for each rubric, and I will also have some comments as well and tailor it to the students if needed. If a student loses some points based on, for example, just posting one post instead of 3 or more, I'll basically identify that in the rubric and just and give them some reason as to why they lost some points and how they can improve their grade as well. So I try to reinforce some positive thoughts there. Again, knowledge paths, I spoke to this at the beginning of the video. I think the biggest priority in the accounting financial courses is there's so much to do in such a short time. The key here is to get students to not fall behind, and that's what I plan on using this for, is to get them to move along and not get bogged down, and not spend hours on just one topic and get frustrated. And so tracking that and intervening with individual students through that program is going to help the student get better grades and pass. And so that's what I tend to use it for. I'm sure there's going to be many other uses as well, but I look forward to it. Thank you.